Hi, I'm the Magpie, and welcome to me and my Casio CK-10, which showed up in my previous video when I was playing around with the Fisher-Price Creative Music Maker microphone that sends your whatever you sing into it or talk into it or play other sounds into it. It sends it to a radio. So it's this glorious toy, and you can check out the video if you want to. It's got a little circuit bent keyboard here. Anyways, in that video was playing around with the Casio CK-10 as the first radio that I tried sending the signal to, because the Casio CK-10 is a radio keyboard. Very unique, I must say. It's really, really cool as this sort of novelty thing. You have the keyboard if you wanna play some notes, but you can also just
against the human instinct to run away from the blade.
Play the radio, which is nice. It's fun. It's got an antenna. It's got a stand that you can flip up so you can have it standing like this. Like, it's the perfect sort of thing to have on a shelf, like a conversation starter or something like that. When you drink your scotch. And maybe it's like giving it away already. The clues are all here, because the Casio CK-10 is essentially a Casio PT-1, but with a radio, which is kind of cool. Because the Casio PT-1 that I don't have actually, and if someone has one just laying around and would like to help me out, they could gift it to me, because I would like to do the same investigation that I intend to do now with an original PT-1, because I think it's likely that it's actually going to be better potentially to do it with an original PT-1 than with the CK-10. More on that in a second. Like, it's all going to make sense, because yeah, the PT-1, which has sort of the same button layout as we have here on the CK-10, and all of these sounds, and if we listen to these sounds, if we plug it out, these tones, and we're gonna make this mono now. Flute. Violin. Fantasy. Fantasy should give it away, kinda. It's awful to play, just saying. But the Casio PT-1, the Casio PT-1, and also then the Casio CK-10, as well as this Muppet Babies keyboard. That is also very much just a PT-1 in the casing of a Muppets keyboard. But more on that in a different video. It's all very derivative, if not completely 100% derivative, from the legendary Casio VL-1. So the PT-1, the CK-10, the EP-10, and I think at least 2 or 3 others that I know of, are just stripped down versions of the Casio VL-tone VL-1 that probably doesn't really need an introduction. It made fantasy famous as far as tones go in synthesizers. And the Casio VL-1 is really, really cool for what it is. You can do so much with it that you cannot do with the PT-1 or the CK-10 or any of the other ones that they made after that. Like, probably most notably, we have the octave. That I would really enjoy having on the CK-10. So I intend to open these up, see if that's something that I can implement. On the VL-1, we also have the ADSR, so like the synthesizer mode, where you can make your own voices. You go into calculator, and then I think you just press in numbers randomly, and you press M plus. No, okay. It's something like that. Beep, boom. Yeah. You kind of have to clear it with either that button or that button. I don't remember. I'm sorry. Bad tutorial. Go while 9999999. Press the M plus. Ooh. Whoa. Yeah, you can do weird stuff. It's got like an envelope, and you also do vibrato. You know, it switches pitch as like it did now, which is kind of cool. And it can also tremolo, which you kind of heard that it did involve. So that's all really cool. But of course, we also have all of the famous rhythms used by Lady Gaga, I think, and other people. You wouldn't necessarily believe it, but they did. Yeah, we have all of that in here as well. So, rhythm select, Bossa Nova. I have a bit more punch in this one. You cannot play over the radio either, which is a bummer. Sadly, you cannot. But yeah, what I want to do is, as I stated now, I want to open this one up. I want to have a look, and I want to open up the VL-1 as well and have a look and see if there's any way I can add at least the octave functionality without necessarily having to circuit bend it. Because of course, I could circuit bend it to access that, but it's really cool if the board is just the same. And as I said earlier, I kind of wish I had an original PT-1, but I couldn't find anybody who had simply done it as a modification. I have found a bunch of people talking about doing it and also circuit bending the PT-1, but nobody just going in and trying to turn a PT-1 into a VL-1. So yeah, I simply just do not know if it's possible. So there goes the antenna. They don't really ever seem to want to open up, right? Yeah, okay. Whoa. Yeah, so, dual circuit board type situation here. Just kind of wild. I wonder if one is for the radio. First of all, however, I want to open this one up as well at the same time to just have them next to each other and see if I can see anything. No problem. So, okay, for this one, and I don't know if that's the case for the CK-10 and the PT-1 and all of those as well, but I think I'm gonna have to access this one, right? There are some clues though already that you cannot see because it's underneath here, but you can see this open ship here from the other side. That same thing is going on underneath here, actually. So let's detach those and this and hope. I have a bit of a mess now that I created. As we can see, this is the CK-10 PCB, and this is like the radio PCB here, which is really, really cool. But this, like the main PCB, is very much just a larger version of this, seemingly, with a couple of differences. But yeah, as I suspected and saw when I finally got it up, this is the identical CPU here. As you can see, nothing happens up here, and that is the entirety of like the VL-1 screen that goes on up here. So perhaps I could even attach the screen and do all of that shenanigans with the CK-10 PCB. Not something that I'm interested in doing right now, but who knows, in the future I could do like a complete mashup, which would be completely bizarre. But we can assume that all the PT-1 type keyboards have a similar layout, if not identical to this. And I've even got a pen here because I started trying to mark, like from here where we have the octave shifting switchy for the VL-1, where those pins are. And it seems to be pin 1 going to like a longer connector thingy, and then these three, so primarily this one to go lower, is this pin 8 here, but it moves on over here. Like you can follow all of the traces and stuff, and there is a picture of this online. However, I marked that and I have tried touching once, but I don't seem to be able to figure it out. I think this is above my pay grade, so to speak. But it should, in theory, be just mimicking what is going on here onto here, and we should be able to get all the functionality. However, some other things that are really cool, because this one very much just being everything going on the blue side, there's literally nothing there, so it's a one-side PCB. This is very much the same, but with a couple of through-hole things going on. But yeah, super straightforward. You can just follow along on this top side to figure everything out. And what is really, really cool is that, and now we're gonna touch with the VL-1. This is all just momentary connections, so I can turn it on. Now I turn something on. Ah? Huh? You see? I should actually just do like this. Boom. Yeah. Ooh. So by just touching once, I don't need to have it latched in place, so to speak, with the slider. I just touch once. Not the same with the tone, though. Yeah, that one has to be in place, but with the octave I can just simply touch once and then it's shifted in octave. So that means that should be possible to do with this one as well, but I sadly haven't been. However, I can turn it on with this touchy. Ah, there we are. So when we are on, I should be able to, in my opinion, I should be able to. Anyways, it's something that I would more likely want to experiment with on an original PT-1, to do like a full-on converting a PT-1 to a VL-1. I don't know if it's been done. If it has been done, you can just guide me in that direction and we can just appreciate it instead of me having to spend many, many hours figuring that out. But it would be really, really cool. Like picking up a broken VL-1 maybe to get the screen and everything and just do all of those connections or something. Yeah, I don't know. However, to move on now, seems as though, and this, I simply didn't know this because I haven't been inside these before, pitch is just done with a trim pot. And it seems to be the same on the VL-1. So there's a trim pot here. I don't know what that trim pot does, but yeah. And to keep focusing on this one, there is just a trim pot here. We can follow the traces really easily and see that we have a middle leg and then two side legs, and these two are connected. So that's a very standard configuration for a potentiometer. But this one goes here to a resistor that then goes in here. So I'm assuming that resistor is either the highest speed or the lowest speed that is fixed by this resistor. Perhaps then, if I just get rid of that one, or just go from one of its points. I need to do a little bit of thinking here and figure out what is the best way to go about doing this. But we have very accessible points, at least. So let's So let's move over here now and see if I can do a little bit of soldering here. Not too much though, just a tiny bit. And also at the same time end up making it look as if it was meant to be. So here we already have our pot actually. 1M! That's the biggest value that I have on a pot. Is it the biggest value that exists on a pot? I don't know. That's not for me to say. Oh yeah, we can solder this one up first. So we're gonna use 2 wires and then jump between. We can have a green wire and an orange wire. So it's super clear with the colors. This one we can then attach over the middle leg and one of the side legs. And the green one we just put on the other like that. So now this is modified. Then of course I need to detach that resistor there. So we can see 2 points here. I need to cut this one off. And thankfully, we have a lot of leg on a resistor because they did like standing resistors. Meaning that if I cut it like on the middle of that one, boink, like so, we can always solder it back if we want to, really easily. So that's perfect. Anyways, boom, boom, those 2 points. So let's just solder this in place. And we're gonna see if we completely short the circuit. Okay, we can go ridiculously low. Audio not being fantastic, but that kind of just works. I do feel like I want to have tiny value resistors on both sides just for safety, I guess. Otherwise we're like zeroing the resistance. Because I don't know if it's at the highest resistance it's slow or the lowest resistance it's slow. But yeah, this type of part is just going to be easier to also fit. It's got such latency when you press it. But yeah, this is just classic circuit band pitch part. Super easy to do with this one. I hope you understood what I did. So I cut the original resistor. I put a 1M part there, which just, this is like 100 ohm to 100 ohm resistors to just, you know, because I wanted to. And that's it. That's all I have done. Now I'm just gonna fit this on the outside, figure all of this out, like putting it back together, and then I will meet you over there. I just wanted to do a little bit of a sound check to see if maybe this is the track that we can work with now, because this is the track that I worked on in the previous video with the Fisher Price. Thinking being that it would be a tiny bit of a full circle. A tiny bit of a full circle. I put it back together, so that's nice. It looks really cool with a brown knob on it because it matches. This is the circuit band, and it just looks meant to be, right? Especially I can really vision it sitting on a desk. I can really see that vividly in front of me. No, but yeah, it was a really painful task of putting it back together with the 3 PCBs and everything. So I realized when I had done it and put this one here in place where it looks cool, that I should probably have modified it so I could play the keyboard and the radio at the same time. That would have been really dope. But now sadly I didn't, and I don't want to open it up again. But I don't even know if that's necessarily a function that I would like. Basically, I would only like it because I can. Sadly, no radio stations work for this particular song. No, it feels like I have an OP1 from the 80s. It's equally pointless. No, just kidding. It's really cool. And of course, now we also have pitch. We can go really basic. But it gives it a bit of latency, which is kind of cool. Like, and the sound, depending on the voice, is really cool. So I guess I can record, because we have the record function to do like a step sequencer, and it can play it once. So if I put it in record mode, and I think it can do 100 steps. I'm not gonna do that though. start doing avant-garde stuff. Demo. And I gotta say though, that the drum sound that are not amazing sounds to begin with, pitching them down makes them a lot more interesting, in my opinion. The snare drum has like a little horrific sound behind it. And I mean horrific in the sense, the interval between notes. Kinda. The things you notice when you zoom in. But yeah, these sounds are probably not gonna be great for this particular song. We might say. Anyways, the tones though to this track, maybe I can do like a cool bass. What? One note. Ooh. You have to tune it by ear, so if we auto-tune it, like I've done with everything else, this is like an auto-tune everything experiment. That is kind of a good video idea, honestly. Can you auto-tune everything? Beautiful! I really like that. I don't really fully understand what I want to accomplish, so I better stop and think about that for a second. This was a video with the Casio CK-10, and it's fun, but it's not worth spending money on, in my opinion. So I can leave you with that. You should probably just pick up a VL-1 instead. Like, it's hard to beat the VL-1 with any of the aftermath of what the VL-1 ended up being. So all the things that are cheaper versions or gimmicky versions, as in this case, are simply not as fun because you cannot do all the ADSR. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. A lot of videos coming up, so hope you enjoy them for what they are. And then I will see you there. In that case, if you don't enjoy them for what they are, what could they have been? I wonder. more polished.